Hi, I'm Paula from Happy Yoga Wales, and this is a yoga practice for cyclists. So this is going to be moving with the breath, not too quickly, not too slowly, so we're not going to hold any poses for too long, and we're hoping to target all of those areas that get a little bit tight from cycling. I'm a cyclist, I'm up here on Succulent Pass where I ride quite often, and we're going to really open up through the legs, especially the calves and the quads and the glutes, and also through the chest and shoulders. So we're going to start today in a child's pose. So come on down, bring the big toes together. I'll take the knees a little bit wider than the hips. So the wider the knees are, the more you're going to get into the hips here. So just come as far as is comfortable for you. And then start to crawl the fingertips forwards. If the ground is a long way away, pop a block or even a cushion or a pillow underneath your head here. And suck the chin in so the back of the neck is nice and long, and then just settle down. So just feel supported by the ground, let the hips sink back towards the heels as much as possible. And then just bring your attention to your breath here. So just taking a few moments just to get into our practice, to settle into our space. So noticing where you feel the breath most naturally, whether it's the tip of the nose, in the belly. Maybe in this position you feel the back expand. And with every exhale, just feel your shoulders soften and melt away from the ears that little bit more. So really encouraging the body to relax as we move through our practice today. When the muscles are relaxed, when the nervous system is relaxed, that's when we really get the most gains in terms of flexibility. So just take one more big breath in here, fill all the way up. And exhale, sigh out of the mouth. And then lifting the hips, coming into a tabletop position here. So bring the knees directly underneath the hips and the wrists under the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide so your index finger faces straight ahead. And we're going to move through some cat-cows. So as we inhale, the belly's going to come down, chest forwards, and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, draw the belly button in, push the ground away into cat pose. We're lifting and separating the shoulder blades. And moving between these two positions, inhale, belly down, shoulders away from the ears, squeeze the shoulder blades together, really lifting the chest. Exhale, reversing that, draw the belly button in, squeezing the glutes a little bit here as well. Really let the head be heavy, stretching through the neck and the upper back. And just keep going at your own pace and moving with your own breath throughout this whole practice. So if my breath, my pace is different to yours, then just do what feels right for you. And that goes with all the poses too. So any movements that don't work for you, then just find something that does. And then making this our last one here. And pausing in a neutral position. So we're going to take the right leg back, tuck the toes under and press the heel back so that the right leg is as straight as possible. So feeling a stretch through the calf, maybe even into the hamstrings a little bit, and you can just rock gently backwards and forwards here, so getting a little bit of a stretch into the wrists as well. Just make sure you're pressing into the fingertips, so we don't want to put all of our weight into the wrist joint. Keeping the collarbones broad, breath steady and even. And then, even though this is a flexibility flow, we will add in a few sneaky little bits of strength as well for those muscles that need it for our cycling. So draw the low belly in here, bring the shoulder blades flat onto the back so the shoulders away from the ears, and then lift up your right leg, squeezing through the glutes. So really press that heel back. And you can stay here, or if you want a little bit more of a challenge for the core, keep that right hip down, make sure it doesn't lift up, and then take the left arm forward so the opposite arm reaches forwards. Reach a little bit more on the inhale, so stretch as long as you can. And then exhale, squeeze knee towards the nose just one time. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, float the hand down. You're going to take your foot to the other side of you, so it's going behind the left foot. And again, reaching out long, tucking those toes under. So press the heel back, and from this position, you'll probably find yourself where it feels good. So just moving the hips, maybe just gazing over the left shoulder. finding a stretch through the IT band. So that's the band of fascia on the outside of our legs, running all the way up into the hip. And then lifting that foot back up. This time we're going to take it all the way out over to the side. So the right foot is over on the right side of us, with the toes facing straight ahead to the front of the mat. And then from here, you can stay here if this feels like enough of a stretch. You could tuck your toes under of that left foot and get a bonus stretch through the soles of the feet and start to sink the hips back. Ha, that feels good. And either staying up high like I am here, or you can start to walk the fingers forwards. And again, maybe come down with the head either on a block, a cushion, or on the floor. So big stretch for the inner thigh. We're also working the body in different ways. So we're targeting the connective tissues, the fascia, which flows from the soles of our feet all the way up the body and kind of weaves and winds in different directions, lots of different lines of fascia. We're going to try and get most of them today. One more big breath here. And exhale, sigh it out. And then crawl the hands back in, so the hands are under the shoulders as you lean forwards, lifting the hips. And one more strengthening exercise here. So we're going to pick up the right foot, again squeezing the lower abdominals in, lifting that leg. So really working that outer hip, keeping the breath steady if you can. You can untuck the toes here if you want to. I'm on a little bit of a slope, it's not that easy. And then bringing that foot back into our tabletop position. Give the hips a little bit of a wiggle, maybe circle them around here. Come back to your breath. Recenter. And then we'll take those on the other side. So taking your left leg back this time, straight back behind you, tucking the toes under, press the heel back. And again, you can either stay here in stillness, so that feels good, or just gently rocking backwards and forwards. Pressing into the fingertips to send the body backwards and using the toes to project yourself forward slightly. And then pausing in the middle, picking up that back foot. Again, making sure the left hip doesn't hike, so drop the left hip down, draw the low belly in, but lift the leg up with the strength of the glutes. Staying here or taking that right arm forward, making sure the shoulders stay away from the ears. Big breath in. And as you exhale, bring the knee towards the elbow, squeeze, 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 and extend out. Bring the right hand back down. Take your left leg even across to the other side of the mat. So it's crossing over behind you. So again, stretching through that IT band, pressing the heel back and just moving the hips here. So sometimes not going as far actually gets more of a stretch. So you can move the hips slightly over to the left and just see how that feels. Gazing over the right shoulder. And then picking up that foot, taking it all the way over to the left side of the mat this time. Toes face straight ahead. Again, tucking under the right toes to get a stretch through the sole of the foot. And then sitting back just any amount. You can stay fully upright if that feels better. But just coming down to find your comfortable position. So we never want to force ourselves into any of these poses. So remember, we want the body, the breath to be relaxed. Just telling the brain and the nervous system that it's okay, it's safe to be in these positions. And then coming up if you're not already, bringing the wrists underneath the shoulders one more time and tuck those back toes to make it a little bit more stable as you pick up that left foot and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze through the outer hip. Yeah, this is a tough one, isn't it? Press the heel away. One more breath. And then bring that leg back down to our tabletop position and just make some little circles with the hips again here. Very nice. And just relieve the hands a little bit here, so sit back on the heels and then bring the fingers, so interlace the fingers. I was blinded by the sun there, sorry, lost my speech. And then just make some little circles with the wrists. So our wrists are another area, our wrists and forearms, that can get quite tight from cycling, so just giving them a little bit of love. And then give the hands a little shake. And we're going to come into our first downward dog. So spread the fingers wide. You want your index fingers facing straight ahead and press really firmly into the tips of the fingers as you lift the hips up high. And then just take the feet back as far as is comfortable. You want your arms really long, really straight, lifting the hips as high as you can. And if that means bending the knees, that's absolutely fine. So broaden through the collarbones here and imagine drawing the armpits towards each other. And then inhaling, both heels up high. This time we're going to send both heels over to the left diagonal of the mat. So the toes are at this kind of diagonal angle. Again, getting that IT band a little bit and working a different area of the lower leg. Inhale, lift the heels up high. We're not going to be in this down dog too much longer. Take the heels over to the right this time. And then inhale, bring the heels back to center. And then from here, we're just going to lift up the left leg. And you can take it up any amount, maybe reaching it all the way up to the sky if that feels good. And then exhale, bring the knee towards the nose. So squeezing again, just like we did on our hands and knees. And bring that foot all the way in between the hands. You can give it a helping hand to get there if you want to. And then if you've got some blocks or any books or anything at home, just to raise the hands a little bit here, then that's a really useful thing to do. So your back knee can come down and just moving it into the hips a little bit here. Seeing if you can encourage the chest to come forwards, relaxing the shoulders down. And again, breathing deeply. And then stack your front knee above the front ankle. Bring your hand to the thigh and then bring yourself up. So this is our low lunge Anjaneyasana. Drawing the low belly button in, encourage that front hip to come back. So we're trying to square the hips here as much as possible. You can stay here with the hands on the hips, or you can inhale, sweep the arms up. And we're going to keep reaching through the right fingertips. So the left foot is forward, reaching through the right fingertips, and then float the left hand down in a big circle. So we can take it all the way around. And just make 2 or 3 circles, just like that. Maybe turning the chest, following the hand as much as you can comfortably with the gaze. And then exhaling, float the hands back down. Frame out that front foot. You can stay here with the knee on the ground, or you can pick up the back knee. Keep the right hand planted down, either on the floor or a block, and then just place your left hand onto the chest and then start to turn the chest towards the front knee. So again, we're twisting here, pressing back with that right heel if the foot's lifted, or just relaxing it down if it's not. And then maybe take that arm up, gazing up towards the fingertips and the lovely blue sky if you're outside like me. And then float that hand back down. Very nice. One more pose from this position here. So we're going to take this front foot out a little bit wider, heel toeing it out towards the edge of the mat, if you're on a mat. And the toes just land at a diagonal here. So the toes are turning away from the center of the body. And this is our dragon pose, or our lizard pose. So broadening through the collarbones and just let the hips sink down here. Again, finding a little bit of movement. Everyone's hips are totally different. So if your pose doesn't look like mine, that's absolutely okay. Just doing what feels good. And as an option for the last few breaths here, remembering just moving to the place that feels good for you, you could always come onto the outside edge, so the little toe edge of that front foot, placing the right hand down or coming onto the fingertips, or a block would be really useful here. Lengthening through the spine and again turning towards that front leg, picking up the back leg seeing how it goes. If that feels okay, maybe reaching back to see if you can find the foot here. If this creates tension, if you end up hunching the shoulder in, then just don't do it. So we want to create space, relaxing the shoulder down, letting the hips sink forwards. And using the breath as a guide. So if the breath becomes shallow or starts to become too fast, well, that's a sign we've gone a little bit too far. So just letting go of that foot nice and gently, sending the hips back here just a little bit. And then from here, we're just going to take the foot all the way back to find our downward facing dog. So the easiest way to do that, picking up the back knee, planting both hands, and then bringing that foot back to meet the other leg. So you can stay here in your down dog for a few breaths, just getting a nice stretch through the whole of the back body, or you can come down, bringing your big toes to touch and settling into your child's pose, just taking 5 breaths here. And taking one more breath here. And if you're not already in your down dog, then let's meet back there now. So spreading the fingers nice and wide again, lifting those hips really high. And then on your next inhale, picking up the right foot and just taking it up as much as you want to. Exhale, draw the knee towards the nose, squeezing it in, and then planting it in between the hands. So again, using the hand to support that foot, getting it to where you want it to be. So you can stay here with the back knee up. You can bring the knee down and just find a little bit of movement. So be curious about these movements, noticing any differences from this side to the first side. So for me, this side feels a lot tighter today. And that's okay. So it's all about just seeing what's there and working with it. And then from here, stacking your front knee above that front ankle, using the hand for support if you want to, coming all the way up so the torso comes upright, shoulders above the hips. Draw the low belly in, feel that stretch through the quad of the back leg. Staying here, either hands on hips or inhale, take the arms up. Reach out of the waist, find some length before we exhale, circling the right arm down, so bringing it down in front of you, all the way around. And then maybe gazing at that arm as much as is comfortable. So it's a little bit of a balance challenge as well, especially when you're on wobbly ground on the side of a mountain. With a nice autumn breeze blowing. And then exhale, float the hands back down. Very nice. So we're coming into our twist, keeping the left hand down and the front knee stacked above that ankle one more time. Find length through the spine and then turn the chest towards the right. So you can bring your right hand to the chest. I like to do this. It encourages you to turn from the upper body rather than from the lower back. And then maybe take that arm up. And we don't need to fling the arm back behind us here. So just keeping the arm in line with the shoulder girdle. And just gazing up at the thumb if that feels good on the neck. One more breath here. And exhale, float the hand back down. Bring the hands to the inside of the foot and then take that right foot out just a few inches to the right. And let the feet come or the foot come so it's at a diagonal. So your toes are turned slightly out from centre. And just feel into the hips here, noticing again any differences from this side to the other. Maybe just moving side to side like I'm doing naturally without even thinking about it. And then if that feels good, you can come onto the knife edge of that front foot, just letting the knee fall out to the side. So getting some external rotation here. And then maybe, if this is all going well, planting the left hand down, either on the floor or a block, using your right hand on that thigh. Again, just encouraging the thigh to open up, so the hips are opening up here. And then seeing how it feels, picking up that back foot. Find length through the spine, and then sweep the right arm all the way over. Maybe there's a foot there, maybe there isn't. And then just gently drawing that foot in to feel the quad stretch. Again, breathing deeply. So if you're here, as well as stretching through the quads of the left leg, you're also getting a good stretch through the front of the shoulder on that right arm. And a little bit into the chest. And then on your next exhale, slowly release that foot. Bringing the arm back through centre, taking your time. Bring the hands to the inside of the foot. Again, wiggle that foot round. So the easiest way I find is to pick up that back knee and then come back this time to our child's pose. So bring the knees out wide, big toes to touch, and then just sink the hips back down. So again, taking a few breaths here. Notice any sensations here through the hips, anywhere that might be opening up, any sensations of heat or tingling. And take a big breath here. And exhale, sigh it out. So lifting the hips, we're going to work a little bit into the upper body here. So taking the hands forwards and bringing the knees back underneath the hips. Just kicking the sheep poo off my mat. So the hips stay stacked above the knees and the hands come forwards and a little bit wider than they were before. So they're as wide as your mat. And then draw the low belly in. So we don't want to arch the back here. So we're drawing the low belly in and then seeing if maybe the forehead will touch the ground. If it doesn't, again, pop a block underneath your head here. So this is a big stretch for the chest, for the shoulders. See if you can just relax the feet and the lower legs, but still keeping that little bit of engagement through the lower abdominals. So really focusing the stretch on the upper back. So we're extending through the upper spine and stretching through the front of the shoulders. And if you've got a lot of space available, if this doesn't feel like much of a stretch, you can even come down onto the chin or onto the chest, but not for me. I'll just take one more breath here in our puppy pose. And from here, we're just going to slide our way forwards, bringing the arms about shoulder width apart and setting up for a Sphinx pose. So with the forearms in line, broaden through the collarbones and stretch out of the legs here. So picking up the legs one at a time, planting the tops of the feet down on the ground and then press the pelvis into the ground. And then just allow the chest to melt forward. So imagine the back of the heart space just sinking forwards, shoulders away from the ears and just gazing down. Breathing deeply, feel the belly against the floor. And just taking one more breath here. And then bringing the hands one on top of the other, take the elbows out wide and then just lower yourself down. Bring the forehead down to the hands and just give yourself a moment for the low back to settle. So relaxing through the hips. And then setting up for cobra pose. So still pressing into the tops of the feet, pressing into the hips. We're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders this time. So broaden through the collarbones and then on an inhale, slide the shoulder blades down the back and then using the muscles along the length of the spine, coming up just a few inches. This doesn't need to be a big movement. Exhale, lower back down, tap the forehead down. And we're going to roll 3 more times with the breath. So inhale up, squeezing the shoulder blades together and down the back. Exhale, lower back down. And again, inhaling up. So there's not too much weight in the hands here, really using the strength of the spine to do this. And then last one, inhale up. And exhale back down. And again, low with the hands, either resting the forehead or turning the side of the head to rest down. And then when you're ready, bring in the hands underneath the shoulders, pressing your way up. We're coming down to a seat. So rolling down onto our backs for our last few poses down here. So bring the shoulder blades underneath you, picking up the back of the head so the neck is nice and long, and then just plant the feet on the ground so they're just in front of the hips, and the outside edge of the feet are going to be parallel to the edge of your mat. And the hands here can just rest down either side of the hips, and we're going to take an inhale and exhale. And then as we inhale, we're going to press firmly into the feet, peel the tailbone off the ground, coming into our bridge pose. So we're squeezing through the backs of the legs and into the glutes. We're going to pause here just for a few breaths. So pressing the shoulder blades into the mat, making sure there's no pressure on the neck. Squeezing the hamstrings. And getting a really good stretch through the front side of the body. One more breath here. And exhale, slowly lowering back down. And then just picking up the right knee, bringing it in gently, so we don't want to squeeze it here, just holding on to the right knee. And then stretching that leg up towards the sky, holding on behind the thigh, wherever feels good. And just point and flex through the ankle. Take some circles here as well. Maybe you've got some clicking and clunking going on like I have. And then bring that knee in one more time. Give it a good squeeze this time. So compressing the front of the hip. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Big breath in. And exhale, release. Bringing the foot down to the mat one more time. And then take the left knee in, just a gentle squeeze. And then straightening through the knee, send the foot up towards the sky, holding behind the thigh. Point and flex through the ankle. In some circles. This side isn't quite as clicky. And then bending that knee, give it a good squeeze. So interlacing the fingers the opposite way if you can, and then squeezing that knee in, still keeping the shoulders relaxed, upper body, really no effort required here. And then bringing the feet back down to the mat. So last couple of stretches for the glutes. So stretching quite deeply into the hips. You're going to take your left foot and cross the ankle over the right knee, and then pick up the right foot, holding on behind the right thigh. So this is our figure of four stretch. And again, just relaxing the upper body. Feel free to close the eyes here if that feels good. Just gently squeezing the right leg in towards the torso, encouraging the left thigh to open out to the side. And then from here, we're going to release that leg and keep sliding the left leg all the way over the right. So we're going to go as far as we can comfortably. Maybe the knees will cross, so the knees might come in line. If they don't, if it's more like this, that's absolutely fine. And you're going to hold on wherever is comfortable. So that might be just below the knees on the shins, or it might be the ankles, it might be the feet. This is our cow face pose or shoelace pose. So big stretch for the outer thighs again. And then from this position, we're going to come into a twist. So you've got the option here. You can either keep the legs crossed as they are, or you can uncross the legs. So we're going to stretch the arms out wide either way. And then from here, it's going to bring the feet down to the ground. So whichever foot comes down first, probably your right, and then let the knees come over to the right as well. And if this doesn't feel comfortable, you can just uncross the legs and just stack the knees one on top of the other in a regular twist here. But if the legs are crossed, it'll look a little bit like this. So that gets quite deeply into the low back, which again is somewhere we can get quite tight from cycling. And whichever version you're in, drawing the belly button in, bringing the knees back through centre, and crossing the legs if they were crossed, and then coming into our figure of 4 on the other side. So right foot comes over the top of the left thigh, and then squeezing that left thigh in towards the chest. Flexing both toes in, just gently here. But really softening as much as we can. And then coming into our cow face pose, just releasing that grip a little bit so that you can slide the right leg all the way over the left. Bringing the hands to just below the knees, sliding them down and finding a comfortable place to rest. Encouraging those feet to come away from the body and down towards the floor. And then coming into our twist, again, either keeping the legs crossed as they are or unraveling them here and bringing the feet down and coming into our regular twist. So wherever you are, crossing the ankles or not, or the feet or not, stretching the arms out wide and twisting the knees over to the left. See if you can keep the shoulders down on the ground here. So again, you might need something underneath the knees, in whichever version of the twist you're doing, just to keep the shoulders flat. And you can even gaze over the right shoulder here, looking away from the knees. But wherever you are, just breathing deeply. And then draw the belly button in, bring the knees back through centre, and cross the legs. And then just bring the knees in one last time, right knee into the right hand, left knee into the left hand. Just making some little circles here. Moving the knees around with the hands in any way that feels good. And then give yourself a big squeeze, so bring the knees into the chest. Maybe tuck the chin in towards the chest as well. Take a big breath in. And exhale, let it go as we release the legs. Bring the feet down to the ground, and then you can either take the legs out long, coming into a short relaxation, so with the legs stretched out long, or you could bring the soles of the feet to the mat and let the knees come together, which is a little bit more gentle on the low back. And then just resting the arms either on the body or either side of you, palms facing up or down. With every exhale, just feel yourself sinking deeper into the ground, relaxing even more. And with every inhale, feel that fresh energy coming back in, waking up every cell in the body. And enjoying this sense of relaxation, whilst feeling energized and ready for whatever's coming next in your day. When you're ready, if the knees aren't bent, just bending them here, bringing the feet close to the hips, then rolling onto one side. And then slowly making your way up to a seat. It's that autumn breeze again. And then stack the shoulders above the hips, roll the shoulders back here. And take a big breath in. And exhale, sigh out. Thank you so much for practicing with me. And I do hope you've enjoyed this yoga practice for cyclists, and I'd love to hear how it goes for you. So do let me know.